Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is July 12th of 2020 at 3 p.m. I think it's around 100 degrees here in Fort Worth, Texas. I was just out on the patio, and I was in the shade on the patio. Didn't seem bad at all, but I think the uh, comfort index is supposed to be 105 or whatever they call that. I was just on earlier. I actually just took a little nap and woke up. But earlier I was on CNN, and I think this is the story. Yeah, I think this is. No, I got sent over. I linked. Okay. Um, Best presidents. I've been following that for a long time, and it used to be a much simpler list, uh, if I remember correctly, as far as Uh, and what they did was, and I don't know when they started doing it, but they asked college professors uh, who, had their degrees in political science or, you know, maybe history, something like that, and they would do a survey of them, and there would be a list. And if I remember correctly, it was like I think it was just I'm not sure if it was. I think it was maybe all the presidents, but it's but George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, uh, whatever. Uh, and to me, and of course I'm a lifelong Democrat and left winger. The list always looked accurate to me, but of course a lot of them, the presidents on there, you know. I wouldn't really know that much about them, why they were rated so low or why they were up there when I didn't know. But the top ones, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, uh, 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 Harry Truman. Harry Truman, I'm from Missouri, by the way. I come from a state that raises corn and cotton and cockleburrs and Democrats, and for all the eloquence, neither convinces nor satisfies me. I'm from Missouri, you've got to show me. So, uh, President Truman from Independence, Missouri, I've been to his presidential library. Um, I think he was alive actually when I didn't see him, but I believe he was actually alive when I went to the Harry Truman Presidential Library. That's the only presidential library that I've been to. Uh, but I was glad, he didn't have a college degree. I mean, he was uh, one hell of a man, President Harry Truman, and he definitely deserved, in my opinion, to be in the top five. But then, I'm from Missouri, um, so at some point, I think, I would look at the list of presidents, and at some point, I'm thinking fairly recently, uh, the right wing people started to say that's a bunch of crap. No, these professors that they asked are they're college professors. They're liberals. They're college professors. They're college professors. And so it's bias. That's not right. You know Eisenhower should be higher, or Ronald Reagan should be higher. Yeah, they're liberal, and it's so what I think it started at that point. What the people doing these surveys did is they, I guess when they sent out the survey, we're doing this survey, we do it every year or whatever, and so please, and I'm not sure what they, what's your political affiliation, who did you vote for, which party or something, they ask them some questions. And so then when they did the listing in Wikipedia, you could see, because it'd be, okay, here's the survey that they always did in the past of just contacting political scientists, I'm not sure exactly how they did the selection, but this is their rating. And then, okay, now this is the rating of college professors who are identified themselves as being, liberal. And there's their rating. And now here are college professors, here's the rating of the college professors that listed themselves as being, Republicans and conservative. And then they had the listing. And I forget what else they did. What was amazing to me was the lists were almost identical. They were almost the same, especially with the top tier. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Harry Truman. I forgot Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, always in the top 5. So that was kind of amazing. Now I'm not sure now. Things have become so politicized, so people are so divided. I'm not sure if the things would still be the same. I think there might be more of a variance, but I'm not sure. But we can find out. I'll put the links to these because it's going to take some really looking. And I haven't read. Here's the article that got me started. Historians will likely rank Trump as one of the worst presidents. And it says here, a new Gallup poll puts President Donald Trump's approval rating at 38%, his disapproval rating at 57%. And then it, talks about that a while. And then talks a little bit about Trump versus Biden. I have to get down to here. This thing is pulling. It's hanging over the edge or something. I don't like that. I'll tie it off back there with a tie. So they gave 2 places that do, political science. Let's see. Take a look at an average ranking by experts in the 2018 Political Science Association poll and 2018 in the Cigna College poll. And so then I went over to here, the Wayback Machine, and overall presidential greatness ratings and ranking. I'm going to go by them. So number 1 is, I'm surprised it's not George Washington. Number 1 in this was Lincoln, and number 2 was Washington. And then I'm just going to stick, I think, with the 2018 rankings. FDR, number 3, Teddy Roosevelt, Jefferson, Truman. Truman ranks number 6. Eisenhower, I'm surprised that Eisenhower is number 7, but I think he definitely, I was alive during Roosevelt, but I don't remember, but I definitely remember, Harry Truman. I remember Eisenhower, and I have admitted now in, recent videos that I was mistaken. I thought that he just played golf all the time. I knew he did the interstate highway thing and some other things, but I don't think I rated him. I think he deserves probably to be number 7. I don't think that I rated him high enough because I felt there was 8 years right after World War II. We were number 1. in other countries were, had been devastated by World War II. And I thought that was 8 years that we really could have done a lot. But then I've come to think, I've come to, hey, maybe less is better sometimes. Maybe not doing something is better than doing something. I'm surprised that Obama is up here at number 8, then Reagan at number 9, LBJ at number 10, and let's see. Well, Clinton is number 13. Bush 41 is at 17. Bush 41, he was head of the CIA. He was with Ortega, they were like this. I mean, but on the other hand, Monroe, McKinley, Polk, Grant. I'm surprised Grant's at 21. Grant's administration had a lot of corruption, but Ulysses S. Grant was never, I don't think, guilty of, but people around him were definitely, and this is after the Civil War, and I suspect, I'm guessing at this, I'm guessing that President Grant appointed, officers that he knew from the military, and that there was also maybe a feeling of, these people, they did a lot, so I'm going to put them into government. And probably they shouldn't have gone in because there was a lot of corruption going on. I think maybe a lot of those people, this is after the Civil War, they might have felt like, I'm entitled to something. Pay me back for what I've lost or something. Taft, John Quincy Adams, Cleveland, Ford. Ford was a Republican. I actually liked Ford, and I understood him pardoning, Nixon, and I think he did the right thing, because then the country was over with it, and then we could move on. Otherwise, there'd still be things in court about it, Carter, Van Buren, Coolidge, Hayes, Bush 43, Arthur, Benjamin Harrison, Nixon, Garfield, Taylor, Hoover, poor old Hoover, Tyler, Fillmore, Harding, Andrew Johnson, Pierce, William Harrison, Buchanan, and the last, Donald Trump. Some people would say, of course, well, it's unfair at this point to rank. But I mean, I think this is the ranking as of now. Some people would say, well, it's unfair to rank the last 2, 3, 4, 5 presidents because, but I don't think they necessarily said this is history. I think they're saying, this is as of now. So this other list, and I didn't read all this, and so, I mean, I think this would make some good reading, and I will link to this below. And what is this college? Senate College? Never heard of it. Okay, and they have top 10 presidents by survey years. So we want to go by the last one in 2018, but it'd be interesting to look at. So 2018, their survey, the top 10 presidents: George Washington, Franklin Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, Eisenhower, Madison, Monroe, Harry Truman, and Kennedy. I don't know about, should Eisenhower be in the top 10? Maybe he should be. I don't know. I mean, these guys are, so, bottom 5 presidents, so, okay, the bottom 5, I'm just going to take 2018, Andrew Johnson, Buchanan, Trump, Harding, and Pierce. And then this is interesting. They rank them, by background, imagination, integrity, and intelligence, and luck. That's interesting, luck. Top rated for luck, Washington, and then Teddy Roosevelt second. Uh, and then they have for luck, which is I'm sure correct, next to the last, Hoover, and that's true because Hoover was elected. The government, things were doing great. Herbert Hoover was elected president of the United States, and I think it was like a year after he was elected, the Great Depression hit, and him being a Republican, actually, uh, from what I've heard, he was actually a good man, a decent man, and a very smart man, and but he was a Republican, and so when the Depression hit, he was like, I'm sure he said, donate to the, you know, to people, do this, all this, and maybe a little bit he could do, but it wasn't, he was a Republican, so he wasn't going, and then of course, uh, Franklin D. Roosevelt, uh, came into office, and then Franklin D. Roosevelt closed the banks, just started doing shit, and things started improving, and Roosevelt was elected, what, for 4 terms or something, or was it 5? Although he died almost immediately after, whatever the last, But yeah, so yeah, I think definitely luck was not on the side of Hoover. And for our current president, I don't think luck's, Trump has done everything wrong. And he's not smart, he's not honorable. What do they have the categories here? Imagination, intelligence, okay, that's not Trump. Um, uh, all these things are not, Trump. But, I mean, Trump did not go out and, you know, create the virus in his back room and let it escape or something or other. That's unlucky for, Trump that came, that it came during his term. If he's voted out of office, it's not going to be because of the virus. It's going to be for a lot of other reasons, but yeah, the virus is so. So anyway, they have the categories: backgrounds, imagination, integrity, intelligence, luck, willing to take risk, uh, avoid critical mistakes. And I think that they have Washington number one. I agree on that. Thank God, that George Washington was our first president, and he made so many correct decisions. Like in the beginning, they uh, wanted to make him king, and he refused that. And they said, "What should we call you? Your Majesty, Your Excellency, or whatever." And he says, "Mr. President." And like 2 terms only was his. I mean, everything that he just did so much. Just we were so lucky as a nation if we'd have had somebody else, as our first president. Thank God. Let's see, court appointments. Uh, Domestic accomplishments, executive appointments. No, man, there is one that Trump. Well, okay, I see. He's the bottom thing here is Trump is Trump is there for domestic, for executive appointments, the worst president. Foreign policy accomplishments, handling of U.S. economy, party leadership, relationships with Congress, ability to compromise, um, communications ability, executive ability, leadership ability, overall ability, and present overall view. Let's see. Then they have all this other information. Like I said, I think this is interesting. Okay, here's the historic ranking of presidents of the United States on Wikipedia. General findings, notable scholar surveys. Talk about that, and I haven't read that. Oh, wow. Okay. They have updated it. I don't know when. I haven't looked, I guess, in a while. So they have all these different surveys lined up here. And so I can remember when they just had the one survey, and then when they started adding, like the conservative, they surveyed, or they didn't, somebody did, surveyed conservative, politically conservative, and that was pretty neat because some people were saying, that poll having George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, and Franklin D. Roosevelt, and that's because they're liberals. But when and Harry Truman, by the way, and then when they pulled in the conservative poll next to it, it was basically, especially for the early, history. And then, of course, when you get down to maybe when they did that, it was Bush #2, whichever one that was, and so there might have been some in that area of people that disagreed. But for the most part, no, these political scientists and professors or whatever, they're teaching history, and so let's see. These are the different polls, and I don't know. A C-SPAN poll, that would be interesting. Wall Street Journal poll. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I can go this. Let's see. Let's see. C-SPAN. Wall Street Journal survey. Wall Street Journal. USPC survey. I have no idea what that is. APSA sounds like something to protect animals. And most frequent, I don't know. So, this just lists the presidents in order. Okay, here you go. Okay. So this lists the presidents in order and how they rate it. Also, you can see their political parties, but some of this in the early days doesn't relate, necessarily to today. I mean, so, but down here, okay, here you have this ranking by liberals and conservatives. So, okay, so on the left here we have liberals, and I guess there was 190 of them. And on the right there was just 50 of them. I'm surprised they could find 50. I'm kidding. Okay. So the liberals and the conservatives agree. Number 1 president, Abraham Lincoln. Now the liberals say number 2 was Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the conservatives say George Washington. But look, I mean, it really, the liberals say Franklin D. Roosevelt, and then they say George Washington number 3, and the conservatives say George Washington number 2, and Franklin, I mean, that's basically an agreement. They agree. Thomas Jefferson number 4, on Theodore Roosevelt number 5, Woodrow Wilson, the liberals, and but there again, now here you get to number 7. The conservatives pick Harry S. Truman, and the Democrats, and Harry S. Truman was a Democrat, by the way, Democrats or the liberals put him at number 8. Basically, now this is interesting. Uh, Number 30. Oh, okay. I see. They are listing, I think, after that. Um, so they skipped from 20 to 30. so, so there is the beginning of no. It's basically the same. It's so close. Let's see. This is a Rasmussen poll conducted in 2007, and Gallup poll, public policy poll, Gallup poll. A Gallup poll taken November 7th to 10th in 2013 asked adults, 1,039 adults in the United States, the following questions. How do you think of each of the following presidents will go down in history? As an outstanding president, above average, average, below average, or poor? And so, Dwight D. Eisenhower, 39% above average, 36% average. John F. Kennedy, 56% above average, above average, and 19% average. Richard Nixon, 27% average, below average 29%. Gerald Ford, that's good. I mean, he got an average of 56. I think people understood that Gerald Ford did the best. I think there were people thinking, okay, there was a deal made, Nixon resigns and Ford pardons him, This is interesting too, Jimmy Carter, elected for one term and came in and he didn't do well. And we know now what a decent man, well, we knew then what a decent man he was. And he brought people from Georgia, that he knew were trustworthy and smart, and he brought them into Washington, D.C. They didn't know anything about Washington, D.C. And Jimmy Carter's idea was, and then Jimmy Carter, too, wanted to be making sure everything was right. So he was there, doing everything, handling everything, whatever, and you just can't do that. And I've heard that I think we've all heard that who was the smartest president? Well, let's just take modern day. Who was the smartest, most educated, smart president that we had? Jimmy Carter. Who was the president that, messed up, and Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, had a degree in nuclear engineering or something. Ronald Reagan gets 42, above average 42%, average 27%. I'm not going to go into the political things on Ronald Reagan. I know he's Saint Reagan to the Republicans and loved. There was a lot of problems with the Ronald Reagan, administration, but I'm not going to go into it. But, they asked people, 1,039 adults, what do you think? People. They didn't call a professor. I mean, they might have got a professor, but they just made some kind of phone calls. So let's go with it, George H.W. Bush, uh, above average 24%, average 48%. Bill Clinton, above average 44%, average 29%. George W. Bush, now this is in 2013, by the way, this poll, above average 18%, average 36%. And then Barack Obama, above average 22%, and average 31%. So here's another poll. Best presidents since World War II. Here's the list. Okay, this was, by the way, taken in 2014 of 1,446 registered voters. It doesn't say what, And so here's the list. Best presidents since World War II. Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, John F. Kennedy, Barack Obama, Dwight Eisenhower, Harry S. Truman, Lyndon B. Johnson, George H.W. Bush, Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, and some of these are ties, by the way, George W. Bush. Worst presidents since World War II. Number 1, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter, Lyndon B. Johnson, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, Gerald Ford, Gerald H.W. Bush, Dwight Eisenhower, Harry S. Truman, John F. Kennedy. That poll, I would completely cross that thing out. That may be people's opinion, but no way was Barack Obama the worst since World War II. No way was Harry Truman the worst president since World War II. Might be the best president. The Truman Plan, the Marshall Plan, all types of. That poll. I would cross that one out. Don't pay any attention to that. Here is, okay, that's 2014 poll. Here is the same poll, 2017. And they have the best president, since World War II, the best president, Ronald Reagan, Barack Obama, John F. Kennedy, Bill Clinton, Dwight Eisenhower, George W. Bush, Harry Truman, Lyndon B. Johnson, this poll, this just polling people off the street. I guess it would tell you something, but anyway, I'll put a link to this. I find this interesting. So today is Sunday. Monday I've got to try to do something about my left foot. It's infected. When you're diabetic, that's not good. And Wednesday I have the appointment. I may try to postpone that with somebody at the cardiologist's office about setting up for putting a new battery in my chest here for my pacemaker. So anyway, thank you very much for checking those out with me, and I will put the links below. Please subscribe if you haven't. I still have not reached 3,000 subscribers, and I don't think I'm ever going to. I've been trying to get 3,000 subscribers since Moses was getting the 10 Commandments handed to him. Thank you very much for watching.